Tales from my D&D campaign.
Previously.
So the amulet is in there somewhere? It's miles across. This thing better not be miles deep, or infinite or something. It's not. You can't go down more than 8 feet here. What?
Stop breaking Draven. There's some little glowy thing floating around the edge of our rope trick.
What the hell is that? God damn it! I hate this plane!
Wait, could that be the tall one? Give him the stone. Who else could it be?
A fox spirit told us to give this to you. This very tall thing reaches down, way down, and its large hand takes the stone. Then it reaches up and places it among the stars. What? She latches on.
Can't hold it. Just let me.
I'm with you.
They heave and tear the small object out of the goo's hands, leaving the heroes holding an amulet attached to a strand of gleaming hair.
Have you found any sign of Zahir?
I'm afraid we haven't found any clues about his disappearance. But we did get the artifact.
Well, I think we could call this a successful task. So all that's left is for y'all to hand us back our amulets.
Though he's short enough to make them wonder if he were a big-headed gnome or halfling, the man actually appeared to be a very old human, his thin skin drooping and age-spotted, his teeth yellowed and worn. His bent posture was poor enough he might not be able to walk, though that didn't matter so much given his levitation.
You caused all this?
You're claiming you put the amulet there? On purpose?
I'm gonna need that back now.
Was it you who took Zahir?
You! Skeleton, I think you are fighting on the wrong side.
He raises his hand, and several short tentacles shoot out, starting to make spellcasting-like motions. Mahar's back straightens instantly, his whole body going stiff.
Can't resist. Arm moving on its own. I see. You're one of them. Laugh now, sheepdog. But I know ways to grind you into powder. Slowly, without severing your soul's connection.
Whatever, that was an attack. I searing charge, evil guy.
The undead tank throws up an arm, blocking the attack with its fiddler crab-like asymmetrical bone spur. That said, the attack deals plenty of damage to the shield, scorching and cracking it. Technically it's using the shield block maneuver, but based on your martial lore, you can tell this thing isn't a proper disciple of the 9 swords, just a monstrosity physically crafted to simulate a couple basic maneuvers. The field erupts into chaos as the hooded figures unleash a torrent of fireballs on the party. They are all casters? At least they're all using fire. A half-dozen fireballs, even relatively low-powered ones like these, are no joke. But Draven and Little One still had Black's fire resist buff left over from the goo fight. Black and Angel had lost their fire resist to the goo avatar's dispelling, and Mahar hadn't been around when it was cast, but the gnome and the skeleton had little difficulty saving against the spells, taking no damage at all thanks to their evasion ability. Black got hit by a lot of fireballs. Even saving for half, that worked out to about 10 damage per spell, adding up dangerously quickly. Instead of Fireball, the last figure cast Solid Fog, a powerful spell which both blocked line of sight and severely hampered movement. Nevertheless, Angel managed to get into reach of one of the hooded casters, slicing it apart with her spiked chain, and revealing what was under the hood was just a tentacle. No face or even head. The cloaked figures seemed to be just tentacles wearing robes, casting spells with arms which were also tentacles. Angel's successful attack also revealed that all but that last one were minions, and that, thankfully, the ability which allowed them to glide in and out of the ground did not seem to help them against physical attacks.
We can take them. They can't even hurt us.
Actually, when you kill it, that one releases a 15-foot radius cloud of acid as the cloak crumples to the ground. Take 7, which the cloaked figures are obviously immune to.
Okay, barely hurt us.
Easy for you to say. How fast can I move in this cloud?
It takes a whole move action to go 5 feet, and you don't get the usual free 5-foot step, so if you spend your whole turn to double move, you could get to the nearest edge.
Really? I guess that's what I do then.
Draven takes to the air, not quite escaping the cloud, but also casts his group buff to AC. Mahar was missed by the cloud, so he runs all the way over to the old man, but he started just far enough away that it cost him his whole turn to get there, so he couldn't attack yet.
My turn!
He winds up, but instead of unleashing a spell, he... Really? I had him pegged as a caster. Well, there was a lot of strength behind that massive tentacle fist. Clearly there's more going on than what you can see. The massive undead bodyguard attacks twice as well. It and the old man each got 2 attacks, each hit only once, but both hits deal about 20 damage, meaning with better to hit rolls, they could pile on the damage really fast. When the cloaked figures act, the wizard one hits little one with a ray of exhaustion. He saves, but still suffers small penalties from fatigue. However, the sorcerer's next volley of arcane fire is a little less concentrated, as the party has spread out now, and the reduced overlap in fireball areas meant far fewer of the caster minions hit black, the only one in any real danger from them.
Good thing those guys aren't too smart.
Which is lucky, given they are spellcasters.
Well, strong or not, I'm going to crush this guy. If that shield thing was a maneuver, I don't know his recovery method, but the tank certainly won't be able to do it 2 rounds in a row.
Correct.
Then I hit AC 32, so take...
That's a miss.
A miss?
Just before Little One's blade connects, the old man's frail body transforms in a burst of expanding tentacles to become a large monster, and the transformation reveals his form to be further protected by a shroud of bizarre glowing runes. Yet before Little One's follow-through is even finished, all the freakish tentacles snap back into his diminutive, wrinkled body. In all its... glory.
He's naked?
That is not right.
His clothing burst into shreds when he transformed. He must be used to this happening, because the fact of his nakedness seems utterly irrelevant to him.
I don't care about his ancient wiener, but that is a really high armor class.
This round, Angel was in range to kill a couple of the cloaked minions, but found they actually have a very respectable 25 AC, meaning they weren't such easy kills after all. Well, let's see how he likes Orb of Force. I hit touch AC 21. Just before the orb hits, his instantaneous transformation happens again. The powerful deflection field generated by his runes is not quite enough to make you miss. Oh, good. Take 34 force damage. But he actually resists over half the damage. He resists force damage?
And it sounds like his touch AC is around 20.
You've never seen anything like those runes, but they are clearly some kind of old and powerful magic. And once again, his transformation lasts less than a second. The tentacles burst out, absorb the attack, then he reverts to normal.
Reverts to naked?
Yes. On the plus side, his clothes appear to be regenerating themselves pretty quickly. On the downside, it looks like they would take 20 seconds to fully reform, and they have to start over with each transformation, so after every attack by or against him.
So he's going to be naked the entire fight.
Effectively. Mahar full attacks with flurry of blows. Miss, miss, miss. He got lucky and hit once. He lands a devastating kick to the back of the tentacle form's knee, but the damage is completely negated.
Damage reduction 2? Is this guy indestructible?
He did take some damage from the Orb of Force, but he certainly has DR greater than 10, and you don't yet know what beats it. And then, a ways off to the side of you, a dimension door opens up. There's more?! The female Rakshasa, Lady Hazamura, steps out onto the plains. And she's arriving in person, not just her hologram, turning to face the repulsive little man.
You should not have entered our domain, Morduval.
You pussies consider all realms to be your domain.
I believe you have us confused with your own masters. You realize if they should win, they would erase your mind and make you a marionette, along with every other living thing.
But that's where you are wrong, Rakshasa. My reward will be an endless hallucination of my wildest dreams and fantasies. What do I care what this heap of meat does while I live forever in my own personal paradise?
Your hallucination appears to have started early.
The Rakshasa begins some kind of very complex spell casting, something with a full round cast time or longer. Can I spellcraft it? Sure. Whatever she's doing is way out of your experience, but it appears to be a hybrid of psionics and fey magic. If you were to compare it to the arcane schools, abjuration seems closest.
Are we okay with that?
You don't think we can trust her?
I don't know, I'm asking. She seems to be against this bastard.
Well, he's the one I'm after. Now that I'm out of the cloud, I'll double move over there.
Okay. Even with the plus 10 from your boots, your heavy armor speed is only 25, so you fall short by a fair bit.
I do. But as soon as I get there, I cast Knight's Move as a swift action.
A form of minor teleportation devised specifically by battle priests, Knight's Move only goes a short distance and can only move you into a flanking position, but being a swift action made it pretty awesome.
Then I activate my Belt of Battle at full attack.
You didn't use your belt at all during the goo fight?
Nope.
Alright, go ahead. So Black runs up, teleports behind Morduval, and starts wailing on him with his oversized mithril mace. Unfortunately, the toughness of the old man's tentacle form, combined with the potent deflection runes, stopped his headbutt and one of his swings. He did connect once, though.
Does any damage get through the DR?
Actually, it all does. Normally, in 3rd Ed D&D, there's no actual reason to make a mithril weapon. It's expensive and provides no bonuses other than being lighter and tougher than steel. If you were spending that much cash, you'd either spend a little more for the adamantite, or put all the money into better enchantments. But Black had found his mace, and it just happened to be mithril. Thing is, it seems silly to me that mithril was so amazing for armor and so pointless for weapons, so, since it's so often described as silver-like, I decided it would count as silver for penetrating damage reduction in our game, without, of course, the -1 damage penalty from silvered weapons.
Cool.
I think it's time to teach y'all some respect.
This time, when he transforms to attack, the massive grotesque eye at the center of his tentacle form opens wide and spins around, swinging on a thick chain of tentacles like a 3-foot diameter wrecking ball, and with the weight and consistency of iron. The whirlwind attack hits Little One, Black, and Mahar, and due to some nasty property of the eye, it also made a dispel check against each of them, negating Little One's deflection buff from Draven's spell. Nigh indestructible and with a dispelling whirlwind attack? That's fabulous. Getting dispelled is bad, but I'm actually going to take out the tank. It hits just as hard as he does, and it doesn't have crazy defense runes. I'll flaming full attack it. What's the AC? 29. It has AC that high? I only hit once then. Wait, what were the other two attack rolls? 23 and 28. Here's the thing. 8 points of this guy's armor is from that giant bone shield. Any attack that misses, but still beats AC 21, gets to damage that bone plate, and it already took a big hit from your charge at the start. So those two misses together actually shatter the lopsided bone spur, permanently reducing the big zombie's armor class to 21, and removing its ability to block attacks against its master. Overall, though, that shield had eaten at least 80 points of damage, greatly prolonging the tank's survival. After losing it, the Hulk also became enraged, and without the shield slowing it down, it now gained a 3rd attack per round. On the plus side, Black was spared from most of the fireballs this turn, as the minions avoided hitting their own allies. But they did catch Mahar with the edge of some, and he finally failed a couple saves. Full damage, rather than evasion for 0, added up real fast, and he was hurting. Not that Black could have helped, even if he had the time, since his healing would only damage their undead ally. Angel was torn between dropping more of the minions and helping take down the hulking undead monster, but most of the minions' attacks did nothing, whereas she had seen how badly things went when the party's heavy melee crumbled against Beta, so she repositioned and started slashing at the huge zombie. Black also had a tough decision. He could take at most 1 or 2 more fireballs if the cloaked figures turned on him again, but if he focused on the Hulk instead of healing himself, he might be able to take it down before it could really unleash its rage. And Black did inflict more damage, but it wasn't enough. The thing was still standing. However, knowing the zombie's armor class had dropped to 21, Draven took advantage, hitting it with multiple crossbow bolts for the kill. Nice. Kill stealing again. You know it. It was at this moment that Morduval spasmed, and his head bolted in Lady Hazamura's direction as her magic took effect.
What? You impossible bitch! Burn her down!
I have made him vulnerable for now. I suggest you finish him before he comes over and stops me.
So, he can't transform? That's—
Out of my way, you little shits!
He can still transform. This time, the brutal eyeball hit Angel, dispelled Little One's fire resistance, and crushed Mahar. Not that the skeleton had been able to contribute in any meaningful way against this enemy. Technically, and especially being undead, he should probably die when his HP hit 0. I deemed him an important enough NPC to warrant using the more favorable player character version of the dead or dying rules, allowing him to go into the negatives. Speaking of which,
guys?
Black went down hard. He'd been burned by too many fireballs, and this second whirlwind attack put him below 0.
Well, that isn't good.
He can still transform.
But those runes are gone.
You're right.
I have made him vulnerable for now.
Good enough for me. Elder Mountain Hammer.
Little One's move would have ignored damage reduction anyway, but with the mysterious runes being suppressed, Morduval's AC had dropped by 10. It still took a respectable 25 to hit him, but that was very different from his nearly untouchable 35 with the runes. Little One hit him for like 40 damage, which got his attention so much that he revised his order, and the tentacle casters divided their attacks, hitting the half-dragon with the edge of several fireballs, which actually hurt now since that last eyeball hit knocked off his resist buff. Meanwhile, the Cloaked Wizard fired scorching rays at the Raj, who psionically dampened the spell with a mere hand wave, as she continued to concentrate most of her energy on suppressing the villain's runes. Angel resumed her attack on the minions, who had begun as a mere nuisance to most of the party, but as the fight progressed, the dispelling had turned their attacks into a devastating threat. And they were wearing her down too, because that acid burst when they died had no saving throw, meaning she couldn't use her evasion against it.
Hey, those things are nothing but tentacles, right? Yep, Hentai City.
But they go away completely when they die?
They go all Obi-Wan when you cut them down.
But what if those things are just more of his tentacles? Like, they stick through the ground and pop up, pretending to be separate creatures.
No, he's levitating half the time. He barely touches the ground.
Just watch. When we finish him, they'll all go away.
Speaking of which, if his bullshit force resistance is down, and all his touch AC came from those runes, then I can afford to spend a maximized orb of force. Take 60.
Ugh! Look at y'all flying round up there. It's indecent.
Did he really just say that?
And his central eye opens wide again, but rather than spin around and whirlwind attack, it focuses and fires a dispelling ray at Draven. Oh crap, don't get my fly spell, don't get my fly spell. Nope, failed on that one. Next, your fire resistance, and it's dispelled. Oh crap, I take it back, take the fight instead.
Oh no you don't, you bastard. I'm gonna... Never mind, I missed.
And Draven literally goes down in flames. At this point, half the party is down, even counting NPCs, and Little One's large pool of hit points was nearly drained. Angel hacks down the last couple minions, leaving only the wizard and the monster Morduval himself.
Y'all needs to learn your place. And your place is in the ground till my lord finds a use for your broken corpse.
Well, I'm out. I guess it's all up to you, Angel.
No pressure.
Before Angel, it was the wizard's turn. Last of the cloaked figures, the only non-minion, but it shocked everyone by fading into the ground. The fact is, while theoretically a more powerful caster, unlike the minions with their single at-will spell, the wizard had limited castings, and had devoted a few too many spell slots to defensive buffs. As a result, it had already used up all of its offensive spells, and had nothing useful to contribute anymore. Its unexpected retreat freed Angel to take on the vile old man one-on-one. His whirlwind attack had a 15-foot reach, but the rest of the time, despite the size granted by his transformation, his reach was only 10 feet, the same as Angel's spiked chain. Even without the runes, Morduval had the better armor class between them, and his immunity to crits and his regular damage reduction of 5/silver cut down on her damage against him. But Angel had danced through the storm of fireballs, laughing all the way, and she had avoided most of his attacks, while her teammates had dealt over 100 damage to him. The acid explosions had worn her down, but she still might be able to survive a hit from him. What? Now the gnome, about the same size as the withered, decrepit man, positioned herself between him and Lady Hazamura, whose magic was still reducing Morduval from an invincible killing machine to a mere deadly threat.
Time is running out.
Yeah, thanks for the pep talk.
As Morduval advanced, his slow bobbing through the air morphed into the lumbering mass of tendrils, a giant, vaguely humanoid form, the terrifying steely eye gazing out from his midsection. His arm coiled for a strike, and Angel lunged forward, whipping her flaming spike chain into a storm of blades as they clashed.
My size.
Lady Hazamura finally stops her channeling.
Better.
Angel's pretty hurt, but she scrambles to triage the injured party members, waking Draven first with a healing potion, because his use magic device skill let him use the wand of Cure Light Wounds more reliably than she could. But with Draven's help, Black was the one who needed healing most desperately. Black had eaten a fireball even after being knocked unconscious by Morduval's Wrecking Ball swing. Fortunately for him, I never liked that the minus 10 hit point death threshold didn't scale with levels. When you're level 2 or 3, not dying until you hit negative 10 gives you a decent buffer. But at higher levels, when PCs have 100 plus hit points, and many spells or attacks can hit for 30, 40, even 50 damage, that razor-thin line between a fully capable action hero and a torn-up character sheet didn't make as much sense. It led to weird situations where healing an unconscious ally to get them back into action could dramatically increase their chance of death if, as often happens, the enemy concentrates on active threats first before finishing downed enemies. Because of this, we had declared long ago that we'd use the 4th edition version, which means a player doesn't die until they drop into the negatives by half their maximum HP. This meant that Black, who was down into the negative 30s, was not beyond rescue. However, this encounter revealed that our system had gone too far in the other direction. 50% into the negatives was so much in 3.5 edition that it seemed very unlikely a character could die without a full party wipe or a coup de grace. So from here on out, I changed the death threshold to negative 1/4 of a character's max HP, or minus 10, whichever is more beneficial. So anyone with 40 hit points or less would die if they fell below negative 9, as normal. But for a 100 hit point character, they could go down to negative 24 and still be revived. Meaning, only a very large attack, when they were already badly hurt, could instantly kill them, but it also wasn't so hard to do that they could totally ignore that risk. Of course, a side effect of this is that, as they burned Cure Light charges into him, Black's return from the brink of death was almost miraculous. Black! Black! Are you back?
Huh? Yeah, I think Sirius is telling me I'm not done yet.
Did she sound a lot like a wand of Cure Light Wounds?
Maybe a little bit. Is everyone else okay?
Everyone but Dickhead. He's not getting up. I totally saved your butts.
Raven was able to use one of his last infusions for the day to simulate an arcane spell that deals negative energy damage, allowing him to revive their skeletal monk. And then there's her.
Your competence is appreciated.
You talk to her, while we loot.
I take it you didn't show up just to rescue us.
Morduval was a vassal of the self-styled king of Old House, Swain, but he served other masters.
Our enemies. Morduval was shielded by their power.
And armed by a vampire king, it made him reasonably dangerous.
Swain? It was a different vampire king, Cornello, who'd been messing with us up till now.
The Woodbridge incident.
Also that worm guy. He was all about recruiting for Cornello in Castle.
That is unusual. The worm spirit normally belongs to Swain.
It's known lies well within his territory.
Tobin did say Castle was deep in that Swain guy's territory, didn't he?
That could mean Cornello's operation was trying to get into Swain's place, or could the worm have been doing something for Swain and casting the blame on Cornello?
They're all monsters.
Wait a sec. Are you going to try to count this as helping us in battle for our bargain?
No. To interpret this as one battle of your choosing would be against the spirit of our agreement.
Regardless, it sounds as though our interests may coincide regarding the vampires. We may contact you again via the Central Stone.
Lady Hazamura was preparing to leave, but she addressed them very seriously, with a glance at the amulet Angel still clutched.
I came here to stop a dangerous enemy. I did not come for the artifact, and I will not ask for it. It is not a power that we want, nor that we can use, but I would take it if you asked me to.
What?
No. Why would we want to give away the amulet?
The Hand of Sirius said they need it.
I didn't see you helping us fight the goo.
As you wish.
You should identify this dude's stuff, Draven. His clothes regenerate on their own. Also, I have a god's amulet.
Right. Draven uses his artificer skills to identify the amulet first. Because it is an artifact, something beyond normal magic items, basic identify magic can only discern partial information. But from what he can tell, the Collana Dialia contains great chaotic energy. It grants the wearer a +6 enhancement bonus to Charisma, +2 Constitution, and damage reduction 5 against all but lawful aligned weapons. As evidenced by the effect it had on the ooze, though, the amulet's greater powers were more likely variable, circumstantial, or at the very least, would take a lot more research to explore. Morduval's outfit, on the other hand, seemed well within the scope of Draven's analytical capabilities, but an interesting specimen in other ways. They already knew the clothes could repair damage to themselves, fully regenerating from shreds in about 20 seconds, but they also worked as a +2 vest of resistance, and it seemed they could even change their form in accordance to the wearer's desires, except that no matter what form the outfit takes, its coloration remains about 2/3 brown, 1/3 black and white checkered. Weird. As you examine the vest, though, you do find something disturbing. You get black to help you confirm, but as you suspected, the outfit contains parts of 2 human souls.
So it's evil.
Well, it doesn't emanate evil like the Redcap's bowler did. The item was clearly created by sacrificing unwilling victims, an evil act by its creator, but the souls trapped within don't seem to have been evil. It was more of a cruel shortcut. Well, there's nothing we can do for those souls right now. They aren't, like, conscious or anything, are they? You think there's very little chance of that. The properties of the item probably bear some relation to who they were in life, but it's hard to imagine the soul fragments have any awareness. Then, if the item itself isn't evil, I suppose there's no reason not to use it.
Nah, it'll be fine.
Angel didn't have a +2 resistance bonus to saves, so she was willing to suffer the fashion hit. At least once she made sure she could make a cloak all drab brown on the outside for stealth, keeping the high contrast checkered pattern hidden from sight when she needed to. That left Morduval's eye. When Little One had given the body a little kick, what was left of his once human flesh crumbled into a pile of flaky dust. But in the process, Little One stubbed his toe on that 3-foot wrecking ball eye.
Why can't these guys just obey the conservation of mass?
In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics. Morduval's creature type was undead, an eternal life without eternal youth sort of deal. But due to whatever other powers were behind him, the incongruous eyeball did have the energy signature of an abomination, and was easily powerful enough to serve as an eldritch eye for a teleport spell. However, it was also an epic enough find to instead be used as an item of power, if they so chose. Such a sacrifice is needed as a component to craft any magic item with a book value greater than 35,000 gold in our world. Of course, even after his death, the strange eye remained as hard as metal. It only weighed 60 pounds, but unlike most items of power, it could not be broken down, ground up, or otherwise infused into an item. Whatever you made with the eye would have to physically contain the whole eye, so it probably couldn't be used as any kind of wearable item or weapon. It seemed like the eye would be cumbersome to haul with them, but after quickly looking up the exact specifications of Heward's handy haversack, it actually fit just fine into the 8 cubic foot main compartment of one of their extra-dimensional backpacks. That did leave the matter of whether any of them should wear the Collana Dialia, though. None of the party members had any significant abilities based on charisma, so that +6 stat bonus was not nearly as tempting as it would be for a bard or sorcerer. By this point, everyone had a Constitution amulet, some of which had other abilities built in, like the spell damage absorption charges on Little One's mother's pendant, or Angel's Heartseeker amulet, which let her bypass armor a couple times per day. Angel was pretty tempted to try it anyway, as that damage reduction could really help her survivability against physical attacks, and there had to be other hidden benefits. But with that mystery came a lot of risk too, and for the most part, they agreed that the known benefits weren't worth the risk of turning their gnome assassin into an out-of-control chaotic artifact-fueled death machine. So Draven gathered up some of the tentacle caster's empty cloaks for research purposes, and they started back towards their plane shift portal.
Wait, Zahir cast that, didn't he? Can we use it without him? Will it even still be there?
It ought to be, and any of the creatures who traveled through it when it was first cast can open it, just by touching it and concentrating for a minute.
Right. Unless Zahir came back and used it already. Planeshift goes away a minute after being activated for the return trip.
I searched there for him yesterday, and it was still there. Good. I guess. I mean, are you coming back with us? I couldn't find any trail, any sign of him in the forest yesterday. I don't think there's much more I can do stranded in the Feywild. At least if I go back with you, I can contact the shepherds, and other people who might be able to help.
Assuming the portal didn't get eaten by those glowy things overnight, like our rope trick.
Oh god, that's right! We should hurry! They found their portal, hidden in the grove of giant carnations and invisible to all but the travelers, and it seemed some of the small pyramid-shaped lights had found it, and were revealing the contours of the plane shift, but it had not yet popped, and they were able to use it to return to the Fadelands safe and sound. Safe, except their missing friend Zahir. Once back in Vistria, they made their way to Castle, rejoined Draven's wife and caravan, tied up some loose ends, and said farewell to Mahar, who set about doing whatever he could to locate his lost companion. It was still over a week's journey by wagon back to New Vanover, transporting the powerful and potentially dangerous artifact to the Basilica, but nothing attacked them. They were welcomed with great praise by Thiswell, Jonason, and High Priest Matsomi. Praise, but no reward. Actually, although Draven and Black are members of the Hand of Sirius, and arguably just doing their duty, in practice, the leaders arranged for the artificers of the Basilica to provide significant assistance to Draven in his crafting and upgrading of equipment, help worth at least 10 grand, plus the skilled manpower saved him about a week of lab work. Still, it seemed like hardly any time had passed when the Centra Stone given to them by the Rajas glowed. It was actually the first time they had ever called, and Draven answered with some hesitancy. Yes? In the wake of your encounter with Morduval, our analysis has uncovered an opportunity for you which may prove mutually beneficial.
Next time on Tales from My D&D Campaign.
Use the portal to return. It seems Morduval won't be joining you. Hold the shepherd at Heidelag for now.
It will be my pleasure. What of the other bait?
He isn't going anywhere. What will it take to draw you out, hero?